RWBY's design is a perfect example of strength and simplicity. The contrasting colors of black with the bright pops of red are not only eye-catching, but easily recognizable. Her large, iconic red hood not only makes her fairy tale allusion to Red Riding Hood obvious, but also keeps RWBY from becoming a blob on screen, acting as her own personal backdrop so the blacks of her dress don't get lost in the crowd. Top it all off with her unique hairstyle where it's slightly longer on the one side, with that red fade that matches the rest of her look. It makes RWBY easy to recognize. She translates well across the many different artists who've drawn her, and even a crude sketch of RWBY would still register as her. The only downside to her look is in volumes 2 and 3, they inexplicably decided to mute the saturation of her reds, which really shows how even slightly altering a color palette can really change a design from being eye-catching to feeling overall muddy. Twice's Volume 1 look is honestly one of the weaker ones. If RWBY is the perfect example of strength and simplicity, then Weiss is an example of being too simplistic. The accented features help with the pop of red in her collar, but it's all just not quite enough to really accentuate her whole look. What's worse is in Volume 1, when their outlines weren't nearly as dark as later volumes, it really made Weiss's features all blend together. Her hair, skin tone, and clothes are all really close to each other in color, making Weiss read more like a blob than anything else. Beyond her colors, though, the design of the look itself does a really good job displaying the idea of Weiss's personality. It's regal, detailed, and she even has her own little tiara. It's impossible not to recognize the fact she comes from wealth and fame. The only hint that her life isn't that of a perfect princess is the barely visible scar smartly hidden behind her bangs. Blake had a unique challenge in the world of design, because black and white can easily feel flat, but I think Blake's look does a great job taking that challenge and running away with it, because this is fantastic. The placement of her colors shape around her body, not only looking reminiscent of a tuxedo cat, cutely alluding to her faunus nature, but also helps keep her whole body visible against her own hair. The pop of her skin tone on her arms mixed with the arm wrappings keep her limbs always visible without sacrificing any of her signature color. But my favorite element is the slight touch of purple in her stockings and the bright yellow of her eyes. Those little details help her from feeling too simple, and also helps make her whole look pop even more, especially when she's standing next to Yang. The most iconic element of her design is her bow, though. When we learn her ribbon is hiding her cat ears, it makes the absurd size of the bow make more sense. I think removing the bow element entirely has been a detriment to Blake's future designs. Anime cat girls are a dime a dozen. Anime girl with a really cute bow on her head is a bit more interesting, I'd say. Yang's design has always seemed to be a struggle for the show. It feels like they had a really strong initial idea. Goldilocks with hair like fire. It's very eye-catching and very beautiful. The issue is that they never seem to know what to do with the rest of her color palette. Seemingly afraid to lean more into the fire theme they have going for Yang, they opt for browns instead. Her original concept art, it's at least a soothing soft brown, kinda like coffee mixed with too much creamer in it, but for the actual show, they go with this dark mud brown. While it does make the brighter colors of her design pop more, it's not exactly a flattering color combo. Yang's other problem with her design is how busy it all is. Where the other three RWBY girls all display smart simplicity to elevate their looks, Yang is weirdly convoluted next to them all. From her 2-level jacket and her 2 different butt capes, a scarf and an extra sock tied around her knee, it's just very obvious they struggled to figure her out. Jean has one of the smartest designs in the whole show. It's honestly amazing how perfectly his design tells us everything about his character. He's the most casual looking character out of the main cast, wearing a uniquely common hoodie and worn out jeans. Where his friends are all wearing high fashion shoes perfectly designed to match all of their looks, Jean is waltzing around in plain Converse, a shoe that's notoriously not very good for doing any actual physical activities in. And layered awkwardly on top of it all is this blocky, ill-fitted armor and some haphazard safety gear like elbow pads. None of it really matches, and it all makes perfect sense once you find out that this isn't actually his armor, it was his grandfather's, and Jean is just repurposing it for himself. It makes sense why it looks clunky and the colors don't match the rest of his style. It wasn't made for him. His design immediately tells us that he isn't quite up to the standards of his peers. Nora is a unique one because her actual outfit is not recognizable at all. There's a lot of layers and colors, the armored elements make a weird shape, but most people would be hard-pressed to actually care about all that when the bright pops of colors in the rest of her look is the thing we always look at. Her cutely styled orange hair, the explosive pops of bright pink with her skirt and accessories, the adorable heart-shaped spot on her top. No one else in the world of RWBY looks this bright, this colorful, and those elements of her design is what really makes her pop. It all definitely reads that she's leaned more into fashion over protection with her look, which tells the audience one important thing. Nora doesn't care if she gets hit, she knows she can take it. Pyrrha is like the perfect opposite to Jean. Where his design displayed how he isn't as prepared as the other students, Pyrrha's design tells us that she's a cut above the rest. Her design is perfect, and I really mean that. The armor she wears is protective, yet still aesthetically pleasing, incorporating a stylish golden swirl pattern here and there, reminiscent of Roman design, which is a cute allusion to her inspiration of Achilles. She wears the most armor out of everybody, only keeping her arms exposed, likely to keep her mobility up when she's fighting. It's all very functional, but still looks like it was designed by a professional to perfectly match Pyrrha. The only superfluous element of her look is the large red cape hanging on her hip, Pyrrha's one extra fashion element, which also balances out her total design by mirroring the flow of her long ponytail. She looks perfect, a perfect blend of fashion and function. She's leagues ahead of the others in skill, and her design perfectly displays that. Ren's look is uniquely simple, which is more noticeable when he's paired with Nora, whose look was uniquely busy. The duo are meant to be opposites after all, like how she has short bright hair and he has long dark hair. His clothes are vaguely Chinese inspired, which alludes to the fact he's based off of Mulan, but the only real standout part of his design is those minor pops of bright pink. His eyes and that one bright streak in his hair feel weirdly stand out amongst the rest of his outfit. There's no other pink in his design, which feels weird, until, once again, you look at him with Nora. The pink of his design matches hers perfectly, while her black top matches him. Truly, the two were always meant to be together, and their designs really only make sense once you see them side by side. But beyond that, honestly, there's nothing much else to say about Ren's outfit. It's not bad by any means, but it's just sort of simple when standing next to all these other characters. Ren looks and feels a little plain. Other than his name, I don't think anyone would be able to guess Torchwick's fairy tale inspiration was Candlewick, as his whole design clearly leans more into alluding to Malcolm McDowell's look from Clockwork Orange. A fascinating decision for his look, but it works really well. In fact, Roman's whole design can basically be boiled down to, what if Alex was an anime boy? And that's about it. It makes more sense when you find out Torchwick was only meant to be a one-off villain, but they ended up liking him so much they kept him around. Interestingly, black and white tends to be the uniform colors for the White Fang, so Torchwick naturally matches the underlings he eventually hires. It's a simple but striking design. The only downside is that they can just never get it to look right in other media. I think it's his hair, or maybe the bowler hat. Hats are surprisingly hard to draw. Glinda is really the idea of sexy librarian, and they cranked it up to 11. A form-fitted pencil skirt, stylish glasses she glares at you over, leather stilettos up to her knees. Hell, her weapon is a riding crop. Glinda is a sexual fantasy overload, and I love it because not once does anyone in-universe comment on her appearance. At most, we see Ironwood attempting niceties with her and asking her to dance, but other than that, she's a bombshell walking around, and the show doesn't use that as an excuse for characters in-universe to be ogling her. She reminds me of Bayonetta, a character who lavishes in her own beauty, flaunting it and being proud of it. Similar to Torchwick, you'd never guess her fairy tale unless you heard her last name, Good Witch. There's not a single hint of that pink princess dress bubble-riding woman to be seen here. Simple black and white with a pop of purple in her cape, cut in a way to feel like a swirl of magic behind her, matching the tight swirl in her hair as well. A lot of artists will say male characters are more boring to design, and this stint of RWBY's male teachers is a pretty big example of that. Ozpin really is nothing to write home about. His look is sleek, simple, and nice to look at. The biggest pizzazz with his design is that funky little scribble element in his tiny dark-lensed glasses. I like the simple touch that his eyes are a dull gold, matching the similarly colored buttons on his jacket, and that's about it. I will say it might be a side effect of the medium of being anime designs for the show, but Ozpin does not look his age. We're told he's supposed to be an old man, but there's no bags under his eyes, none of the typical face wrinkles associated with depicting age in cartoons. Yeah, he has gray hair, but Weiss's hair is white. Hair color isn't really indicative of age in this universe. The only real detail that implies how old he is his cane, which, thanks to the fact it is immensely intricate in design, it's no wonder the cane comes to represent Ozpin after he's gone. I feel like it's only fair to discuss Port and Oobleck together. Neither one has enough going on to spend too much time on individually. Port's outfit is clearly more fanciful, complete with tons of buttons and an ascot, paired with his luxuriously styled hair and mustache, and you clearly get the idea that Peter likes to present himself as someone with high standards. In contrast, Oobleck's outfit is a mess. He has 2 different colored shoes on, his shirt's coming untucked, and his tie is barely hanging on for life. It all definitely highlights Oobleck's mile-a-minute personality. The two work best as a pair, evening each other out design-wise. While they aren't overly extravagant like the students they teach, they do still stand out thanks to the fun quirkiness of their designs. Design-wise, you can tell Team Cardinal are meant to just be generic placeholders for the bully arc of Season 1. Dove and Lark are basically wearing the same thing, just generic armor to imply they're being trained to fight monsters. Russell has a little more going on with his brightly colored mohawk and the spiked shoulder pad design, but clearly only Cardin was really thought out, and the other 3 are just designed to complement him. His armor is ornate and detailed, contrasting him against Jean's clunky, ill-fitted armor. The darker colors work like how cowboy hats work in old westerns. Good guys wear white, bad guys wear darker grays and blacks. Top it off with Cardin's prissy updo with his hair a la 2007. It implies Cardin has some money, some power, and an ego to match his height. Sun Wukong is a perfect example of missed opportunities. I love some of the elements they've used in his design to allude to his namesake, opting to make him blonde, presumably in reference to Goku's Super Saiyan form, who's also a character referencing the Monkey King. Sun's weapon is a reference to Sun Wukong's staff, which I love, but then all those cool elements seem to end there. Whereas Wukong's headband that gives him headaches when he misbehaves. Where's the tiger pelt he wears? Sun's look is painfully boring, and it's just such a shame. Your fairy tale inspiration has so many amazing iconic pieces to their design, and you don't utilize any of them? What's worse is Sun has never gotten another design across the whole show so far. We've been stuck with just a dude in regular jeans and an unbuttoned, unpatterned, plain white shirt for a decade. So boring. Penny has one of the cutest designs ever. Her outfit is all very muted in color, which makes the electrical green of her accents really pop. No one was really surprised when she revealed she's a robot, because the green lines striping throughout her design clearly already felt mechanical in nature, like circuitry powering her up, especially once you see the literal power button on her swords. There's a sort of cute naivete to the rest of her look. A sort of frumpy shirt and big crooked bow. She definitely reads like that new kid who's likely spent a lot of time around older folks like her dad. There's really nothing much else to say. She's precious and cute swirls and circles to tie the whole look together and make her easily recognizable and memorable. Cinder's Volume 1 design is beautiful, and it is amazing that we barely get to see it in the first volume. I've mentioned several characters who seem to prefer fashion over function, and Cinder takes that to a whole new level. There is no protection for her whatsoever in this look, which really leans into the idea that she knows she's capable of protecting herself without the use of heavy armor. Her hair falls over one shoulder while the feather accessory balances out the look on the other side, really bringing your eye to the tail of her dress, which when in motion flows a bit like a waving flame. Everything in Cinder's look reads of danger and very calculated beauty, like a Venus flytrap almost. What really makes this outfit shine is the gold accents, very muted along her collar and arms, but once she activates her maiden powers, suddenly they all glow brilliantly like flames themselves. I cannot lament enough how much it disappoints me her other designs don't follow this glowing trend, because it really makes Cinder stand out above the rest. There's nothing much to really say about Junior. Clearly he was designed to match his nightclub, which was designed to play into the color palettes of Ruby, Weiss, and Blake in order for Yang to really pop in this environment. And she does, and Junior doesn't because he's not supposed to. The fact he's the only one revealing his eyes and wears a white shirt amongst his crew makes him naturally feel like someone who's more important than his grunts, kinda like a Pokemon admin. No, the real stars of the show is Melanie and Milsha Malachite. Apparently they were repurposed ideas for Ruby and Weiss's designs, and they perfectly match the color palette of the nightclub too. They're beautiful, they match each other, but have distinct differences, and the one thing that makes them feel like a cut above the rest is the bright pop of green in their eyes. Great, stylish first villains for Yang to fight against in her trailer. There are some characters whose designs are meant to be a complement or contrast with another character they're close to. Blake and Yang, Port and Oobleck, Ren and Nora, etc., etc. And I'm amazed Emerald and Mercury don't follow that trend. Mercury's design begins and ends with gray. His hair, his clothes, his eyes, it's all one color and it's bland as bread. The only hint that he's based off of Hermes is the fact his weapon is on his feet, which you can't even see because it's the same color as his pants, and his giant gaudy emblem painted onto his butt cape depicting a winged shoe. The outfit doesn't even display the idea of his personality very well. One collar is flopped down, almost alluding to his carefree, laid-back attitude, but the rest of it is done so precisely and neatly that it works against that idea. Bland, flat color palette, no idea around his fairy tale inspiration, and doesn't even hint to his personality. A failure in every sense of the word. Mercury's outfit, much like his character, appears to just be an afterthought. Emerald is one of the most unique characters thanks to her mint green hair and blood red eyes. It's very striking, and I honestly wish more people in the show had fantasy color palettes like this. Also, it's nice to finally get a character with some freaking melanin, Jesus. While Emerald's look does display a sense of fashion, it definitely feels like function was the real purpose of these design elements. The straps imply she's ready to keep things together, making sure there's no frills or overly flowy elements. The look is very stylish and cool, but what makes this design really special is when you see Cinder's past outfit and realize just how much of that look inspired Emerald now. The crisscrossing color design and the shorter haircut mirror the fashion Cinder wore when Emerald first met her, wearing her adoration for Cinder literally on her sleeves. I know Neptune's style was based off of a boy band, but I can't help but wonder why they didn't also try to make it look good. Neptune, god of the sea, and this boy is waltzing around in a red jacket and Digimon protagonist goggles on his head. Between the red sweater, blue hair, and yellow goggles, he looks like he's representing Pokemon rather than the god of the ocean. It doesn't even feel like a good fit for his personality. His button-down tie underneath his huge collared jacket gives off a business casual vibe, rather than hinting towards his cool guy ladies man shtick. The whole design is so bad. It just goes to show, just because you copy a cool outfit from another person or character, that doesn't mean it'll be a good fit for this different character. General Ironwood unfortunately starts a trend where Atlas is represented with the color white, which unfortunately steals that color away from Weiss as the volumes progress. But that'll be a thing to worry about later. For now, the all-white military uniform does a fine job letting us know he's from Atlas and that he's a bit more strict compared to his peers. His uniform is fancily decorated and gives the general an air of authority. Also, his sunken-in cheeks and that splash of gray on his sideburns does a much better job implying his age compared to Ozpin. Then, there's that very noticeable little metal bit right above his eye, telling us long before we see his robotic body that there's a lot more to this man hidden underneath that uniform. RWBY's Volume 2 outfit, nicknamed Slayer, is the first time we see a trend of RWBY replacing black with gray in her look. I think it works fine here, but it just isn't quite as simplistically iconic as her usual black dress. It also starts a trend of her design being very busy right around her head, with her cape being bunched up around her neck and these metal shoulder things. It's very top-heavy, and the little splash of red on the bell of her skirt just isn't enough to really balance out the design. But something I really love about this look, with the longer sleeves, straps on her shoulders, and the dark pant-like attire, this looks like it takes heavy inspiration from Penny's outfit. A great touch given that this outfit is what RWBY wears when she and Penny have their incredible heart-to-heart. I love thematically matching designs. Weiss's Snow Pea outfit literally fixes every single issue I had with her original look. Truly, this is the best outfit Weiss has ever had. The sharp black accents do a phenomenal job accenting the shape of her outfit, but also directs your eye, especially when she's in combat, framing her perfectly with the straight black lines, and it's so amazing. It even makes her hair stand out, because those black lines help clearly divide her limbs from each other and her hair when it's behind her. The whole look feels less princessy than her usual outfit, feeling a bit more tactical and professional, which matches the theme of her mission of gathering information. It's a sin we didn't get to see this outfit more. Blake's intruder outfit is the most simplistic of these Volume 2 alt designs. The most fun part is the bright pop of purple hidden only on the bottom of her shoes. I really wish it had been splashed somewhere else in the outfit, maybe on like a necklace or something. I will say, I think this look is trying to do something similar to RWBY's outfit. How that one parallels design choices seen in Penny's outfit, Blake's is also similar to Sun. A large popped collar, a plain white button-up shirt. It technically is a thematic parallel to what Sun wears. It's just a shame that what Sun wears is boring. But hey, look on the bright side. I bet this outfit is really easy to cosplay. Yang's Huntress outfit is the best design she's ever had by miles. The soft yellow in the outfit is not only very pleasing to the eye, but really makes the gold of her hair pop. And the black accents is the best complement for all those colors too. It leans more into the initial fire theme she's had with her design. Black like embers and black like Blake. Yang really looks great when there's a lot of black woven into her design. Why don't they do this more? The crisscrossing belts, the purple butt cape, and the adorable yellow bows on the back of her shoes do a fantastic job balancing out the look so Yang doesn't feel too top-heavy. It's perfect and beautiful, and I want them to do this more. Stop putting her in gross browns! I only have a minute to talk about Neo's outfit for this short, but honestly, out of everyone's design in the whole show, Neo's is the one I could probably spend an hour going over. It's phenomenal. The shape of the patterns and the cut of the clothes do a perfect job directing your eyes to her limbs, primarily her legs. So when she starts doing funky little hip shimmies and dance moves to knock Yang off her feet, you never get lost or surprised by what Neo's done. The Neapolitan-inspired color palette is simply genius. Neo was initially inspired by a Torchwick gender-bent cosplay, and I like how she definitely looks like she matches Roman without feeling like a smurfetified version of him. It's crazy how changing black to brown, white to cream, and orange to pink can give someone their own identity in a design. The prom outfits are all disappointing. I'm not even gonna bother talking about the boys because they all are wearing the same tux and it's stupid. Of the RWBY girls, Blake's is the most eye-catching, mostly because we never get to see Blake wearing a long skirt like this. It's cute, but why is her bow dark teal? It doesn't match anything else she's wearing. RWBY's is also nice. Honestly, other than the high heels, this looks like a dress RWBY could just wear all the time. Throw her hood on and bam, that's a combat skirt. And then Weiss and Yang are massive disappointments. Far too simple, and too close to their skin tones. You girls deserved better. This is an embarrassment. Nora's prom dress is cute, but needed more accessories. Penny's dress actually feels like a perfect fit for her, and it's a shame we can barely get to see it. Jean's dress is cute because the collar shape is the same shape as his armor. That's a really nice touch. Emerald's dress is a nice color, but we can barely see most of it. And Pyrrha's dress is a flat, ugly blob. Why make it the same exact color as her hair? She looks like a red Sharpie. You couldn't have added a few gold details here or there? That would have made it way better. Also, she kept her headband thing on? Come on, it's lazy. I appreciate them making Cinder's infiltration outfit all black, but did she really need to keep her tits hanging out the whole time she broke in? What really makes the outfit shine, though, literally, is how it glows with the amazing orange embers. Presumably, it's been fused with fire dust, and Cinder is using her semblance to pull the flames out of her outfit to make her weapon, and it looks amazing. Cinder does the fire themes so well with her designs, and it makes me wonder why they can't figure that out with Yang's fire themes. Keeping the orange elements on her arms and legs actually really accentuate her combat, and importantly, it draws your eye away from her face, which, since she's breaking and entering, that's kind of important detail for her mission. Very smart and looks awesome. Oobleck's Huntsman outfit is one of my favorites because there is incredibly smart storytelling being done here. He's donning a typical explorer's type of getup, complete with that hat I only recognize from the Wild Thornberries. Truly, he is an old soul, and this outfit feels extraordinarily frumpy and ill-fit for battle compared to our girls' very cool anime outfits, which is the reason the girls react with such disdain upon seeing his outfit. But something the girls, and likely the audience, doesn't realize with this outfit is just how well put together Oobleck is. His tie is straightened out, his shirt is tucked in, he almost looks like a man in uniform, a far cry from the disheveled mess we usually see him as. Yes, his outfit might not be hip or cool, but it tells us loud and clear, Oobleck takes this mission very, very seriously, and he's putting all of that manic energy into doing this right. Lieutenant Banesaw is a great lesson on how to make a low-level enemy come across as a slightly higher-level enemy, a bit like turning a Goomba into a Paragoomba. Adding those wings might feel simple, but it lets you know this isn't the average enemy you've faced before, despite the many similarities. Giving him his own distinct mask, something we only see with Adam and Ilya, gives him a bit of an identity beyond the run-of-the-mill White Fang masks. Obscuring his face naturally gives him a mysterious or dangerous vibe. Beyond the mask and his unique weapon, there really isn't anything else noteworthy in his design outside of his tattoo. So here's a handy-dandy tip: tattoos are a really great way to give a character more of a unique identity. I want to like Raven's look more than I do. I think it's disappointing her hair and face look nearly exactly like Yang's. It feels very lazy to me. Like, we could have played around with this more, right? But the thing that I hate is actually that the style of her outfit is actually beautiful and ornate, implying that, even though she's a proud bandit, she also appreciates the delicate, intricate elements of fashion. But the shade of red is so damn dark that I can't ever see it. Her outfit just melts together and becomes completely indistinguishable. Hell, sometimes it's impossible to tell what's clothes and what's hair. The outfit is so cool and is telling us so much about this character. Let me see it more. Coco's deal is that she's big into fashion, and I think they execute this idea smartly without sacrificing the functionality of her outfit. The luxuriously frilled neck piece, beret, and huge crosshair-styled belt buckle look cool and stylish. But I think the best thing implying her fashionista personality is the fact she uses really nicely blended shades of browns. And not even Yang's gross mud brown either. Really pleasing cream-colored browns, accenting everything else with either solid black to make the colors pop more, and using shades of dark gold to complement the browns in her look and her orange hair tip, and it's all tied together really nicely. Fun fact, Coco, Neo, and Raven all have the same necklace in their designs. Maybe they all go shopping at the same boutique, huh? Fox kind of falls into the same problems Mercury has, where his clothes and hair are the same color, and the only other accent is black. While it's not terrible, it certainly doesn't stand out. The most noticeable element of his design is his pure white eyes, a visual shorthand to tell the audience he's blind. I wish that same white could have been threaded throughout the rest of his design, because his whole look just feels so bland. It's a shame Coco sets the bar really high, because the rest of her team lacks in comparison to her intricate fashion choices. Also, small thing, Fox has scars, and they're almost impossible to see. If they were a lighter color than his skin tone, I think it would help elevate things a little bit, or at least be more noticeable. Velvet's design is unique because it was made by a fan, and at the time, we didn't know what her weapon or semblance was. The only hint we had was that she was a spellcaster. Little did we know she was basically going to end up being a mimic, and this tight form-fitted outfit really is the best choice to have for her copying ability. Her actions end up being a one-to-one with the same animations from prior characters, but everyone's outfit is different to help highlight their weapons, at least in theory. So the fact Velvet's outfit is very plain, without any extra frills or flowy bits to get in the way, works perfectly no matter whose weapon she's emulating. And on top of that, the small amount of details she does have with the look is cute and still personable to her own personality. Highlighting her legs especially feels reminiscent of her rabbit faunus nature. You can't miss the standout element of Yatsuhashi, the large, impressively layered, heavy armor on his shoulder. It's fascinating that he can come across as so heavy-plated, yet the light, flowing fabric of the rest of his outfit instead implies something very unprotected and unarmored. A jack of all trades, it seems, being able to swap between a heavy style and a faster style for combat, which we can even see in his one fight scene from Volume 3. He also has the most average hairstyle and eye color out of any character, which you might think would make him feel boring, but in fact, because he's the only one who's this way, it actually kind of makes him sort of stand out more. Go figure. Adam confuses me, because everything about his design feels like it shouldn't work, but it weirdly does. His outfit is all jet black, so you'd think his limbs would get lost on top of him, but he always holds himself with his arms kind of out, his knees bent in the middle of battle, so it really hammers home how the way your character holds themselves can really change the way a design works. The white elements feel like they should be too busy and drag your eyes away, but I think the white and intricate details on his mask mask with its weird 2 eye slits make it all kind of balance out instead. The only thing that actually doesn't work are his tiny, unnoticeable bull horns. They are so small, and they just blend into his hair. By the way, have you ever noticed that his hair sort of looks like rose petals? Like the wilting rose from Beauty and the Beast? Literally, I just noticed that. Someone suggested I discuss their school uniforms, so let's talk about them. Beacon's uniform is a perfect demonstration of how to utilize your main character's colors into core parts of the show, featuring all 4 of the girls' main colors, which highlights to the audience their importance. Some design choices aren't for the characters, it's just for the audience. Like how the Haven uniform is primarily black, the uniform our villains wore when hiding at Beacon. Black is usually associated as the villain color, though I will say the boy version of these uniforms is sadly drab in comparison. If they weren't cowards, they would have put them in plaid pants. Atlas's uniform is fine, white is associated with Atlas, and it does that, and the amount of gray makes it noticeably stand out a bit compared to the military uniforms, despite being similar in fashion. And Vacuo doesn't have a uniform, telling us they're not as uptight as the other schools, which is fun. Team Auburn are great designs for one-off characters to introduce us to the tournament, stylish enough to feel like they're actually people in this world and not just extras for Team RWBY to demolish in the first few minutes of Volume 3. We also get quite a few moments of really humanizing animation for them. They feel like they actually have personalities despite not having any real lines of dialogue. Asriel and Reese are the real standouts. Their colors and styles are really different compared to most other characters. The boys continue to follow the trend of being more simplistic compared to the girls, Bolin especially, but Nadir's pink ponytail and very expressive demeanor help to elevate his look. Even though they're little more than background characters, they're some of my personal favorites. Cinder's student disguise is actually not terrible. She doesn't want to bring attention to herself, and these muted, simple colors do a good job at making her fall into the background. There's enough of a pattern to keep it from being too simple. It's fine. The real problem is the ludicrous style choice of her bandage wrappings, bandage shirt, and an implied bandage underwear. I feel like they wanted to do something a little bit extra to keep it from being too boring, but this ain't it, Chief. By far the worst part is the shoulder pad that's just hot glued to her flesh. Really? You couldn't have thrown on a simple strap to imply it's being held in place? It screams of laziness. Someone wanted me to talk about Neo's student disguise, and I am here to please. Though I apologize that the visuals here will be rather limited this time around. After all, this look has only a total of like 4 seconds of screen time. It's amazing though, that even with such a limited time for us to see this outfit, a lot of people really love it. And it's easy to see why. Similar to Weiss, the limited palette works really well here. White with a dash of black accents looks great, and black with a dash of white accents looks great too. The frills and bows are so interesting with this look, mixing a sort of cutesy, childish style with a Victorian Gothic kind of vibe. Her bright green eyes immediately grab your attention, and it plays so well into the chilling reveal of her iconic heterochromia. Would have loved to see this way more. Team Bronze seems like they tried to make an effort to jazz up their male outfits a little more. They've got some neat colors, I love seeing some different hairstyles for them, but I think the problem with the 4 overall is the fact that they feel a little too simple. There's not really any patterns on their clothes, they don't have very many accessories, they don't look like outfits for battle, they look like just regular high schoolers. Even their weapons are really simply designed too. We don't even get a hint of their personalities during their fight either. They're technically fine, but they're not really doing anything to stand out. Sage has so many extra little details in his design, from the various wing-like motifs, to the gold accents, to the large Roman numeral neck tattoo. It feels less like decisions made by a character designer, and actually feels like decisions made on the whims of the character himself. That being said, I do really like this design. It's simple yet striking, opting to keep his torso and legs very basic, but adding a lot of extra detail to his arms is very neat, and would probably help to draw your eye to his weapon while he's fighting. Too bad we never get to see that in the actual show though. I feel like the colors on the inside of his jacket and his collar should have been different, maybe a brighter color. Overall, it's a solid design. Scarlet's fairy tale inspiration is Peter Pan, specifically the sequel to the classic book, Peter Pan and Scarlet. A phenomenal decision, I'd say, since Peter Pan's classic green tunic is a tad boring to work with as a design. This way, they play around a lot more with the pirate-styled outfit choices, giving Scarlet a lot more pizzazz and is an overall unique look for a character here. The intricate red coat is definitely the most interesting part, perfectly matching his hair and what I assume to be a face tattoo. Unfortunately, once the fighting started, he got rid of the coat, and the outfit underneath is so boring without it. The plain white pants and shirt is far too simple, and makes Scarlet easy to overlook compared to the other combatants on the field. Team Indigo were designed by fans from an Indiegogo campaign, so I'm gonna spend a little bit more time on them for the sake of the fans who helped come up with these outfits. Nebula is really stand out with her adorable haircut and color. I would love to see the shade of purple splashed somewhere else in the look too, to help tie it all together, maybe in like a belt or on her shoelaces or something. I also wish there was just a little bit more of a pattern to work with on her outfit, like maybe some sort of silver star pattern on her shirt or something, maybe crescent moon earrings. Her name being Nebula makes me want to see that space theme a lot more. Dew is so unique. We don't see any other character with the courage to go into battle with a full-length dress. The fishnet style of her sleeves and stockings are a really eye-catching way of adding a hint of a pattern without having to add more color to the outfit. Sometimes a simple color scheme is the best choice for a character. Her long hair and flowy belt accessory is a smart choice to pair with her wind-based weapon. She'd look amazing with these elements flowing around in the wind she's controlling. Unfortunately, RWBY doesn't animate it that way. I think this is a smart, solid look, and it's underrated in the RWBY fandom. Gwen's ballerina theme is precious, and I love it. Ballet is not only such a cool visual to play with when it comes to reimagining fighting moves, but also gives such cute outfits. Those shoes? Yes. I like the fact her armored plates on her skirt match the colors of her neck accessory and the tail end of her ribbons. Armor doesn't always have to be solid gray. We can play with colors too, and this is a good example of it. I think Gwen's hair is the weakest part of the look. Not that it's a bad choice or anything, I just don't think RWBY's animation style does it any favors. Also, I wish she had some sort of head accessory. Maybe a feather-adorned hair clip to help bring her eyes back to her face more. Octavia feels the most battle-ready out of the four. Her outfit doesn't really match color palette-wise, making it feel like she would care a lot more about function than fashion. It was a bold choice to have her two main colors being blue and orange. They are complementary colors, being opposite each other on the color wheel, but that can also mean they're fighting for your attention at times. I wish there was more red here or there to help match her hair and thread a bit more cohesiveness into the look as a whole, maybe some higher socks or bracelets or something. I feel like there's just one thing missing here that would really bring the look together. Crow's outfit is clearly meant to feel like the thing that inspired RWBY's design choices, rather than bothering to allude to his fairy tale inspiration of the Scarecrow in Wizard of Oz, which was a 10 out of 10 choice, I'd say. Leaning more into his in-universe backstory means much more and tells us a lot more about his character. If it wasn't for the photo of him in school, which it was a lazy choice to just reuse his current model, I would assume Crow has decided to simplify his look a little bit more with his older age. His shirt and pants are pretty simple, but where he really shines is with his accessories. His cape is tattered, a sign that it's been through a couple of hard years with him. Then there's his large, impressive rings and his crooked cross necklace, implying he does still care about keeping up appearances. Kind of like Raven with her necklace, huh? Those Bronwyn twins do care about their accessories, don't they? Winter is kind of hard to talk about design-wise. Just like Ironwood, she continues the trend of associating white with Atlas, which will become a problem down the line. Don't worry, I'll talk about it later. We can tell it's a military uniform because of how put together it all is. The amount of buttons is a really big giveaway, actually. But it's also surprising just how non-formal this uniform is, too. She has her whole shoulders exposed and a huge, gaudy red gem adorning her high collar. Her sheer, frilly butt cape thing and the bootstrap, it just makes me think this might actually not be a uniform. It simultaneously feels personally styled and also very impersonal. Unlike how Crow's design looks like it was clearly meant to be the thing that inspired RWBY, it looks like they worked backwards with Weiss here, where they just took Weiss's design and made it vaguely military, and I don't know, I don't like it. Ciel's design is very, very simple, but I also kind of love it. There's only 4 colors here, blue, gold, white, and black, and I think that incredibly simplified color range helps to make the design as a whole feel very cohesive. I could say that the lack of any sort of pattern makes her feel a little bit boring visually, but also, based on the brief glimpse of her personality we see in the show, I think it matches her character. Her haircut is really cute, her beret is a fun fashion choice. I really wish Atlas leaned into this style more for their various uniforms, because I would have loved to see this idea explored in more detail. I've mentioned several characters who favor fashion over function with their outfits. Well, Flint and Neon take that idea and crank it up to 1,000. They are all fashion. Style was the only thing on their minds, and I love it. It kind of shows the arrogance of the characters to roll into battle with a pinstripe suit and a tank top. The only protection between the two of them is Neon's children's knee pads for her rollerblades. They're so cool and iconic and so easily memorable, they just explode personality. It's no wonder they quickly became fan favorites. Flint's suit is cool, and the bright pop of the light blue really helps to jazz things up, and is a super eye-catching way of playing with his Killer Quartet's copies of himself. And Neon does a surprisingly great job at including a million different colors into her look, but not feeling like too much. Having it mostly just be her skin showing and her colorful accessories are small little details helps to keep her look refined yet appropriately colorful. Cinder and her lackey's past outfits are a unique lesson in trying to display a step backwards for your characters. Like when you see a Digimon trying to retroactively show what its pre-evolution would look like, something without quite all the bells and whistles they usually have. A general lack of finesse and refinement, and it can be hard to display that idea and still deliver a design that doesn't look like a mess. And Cinder absolutely nails it. She's clearly still Cinder, the girl who wants to paint herself like an unbreakable ideal of perfection, complete with perfectly painted nails, and is running around fighting in heels and a dress so short she actually had to wear pants underneath. My favorite part is her hair. It does call into question how long ago this was, because Blake looks exactly the same, but like hair doesn't grow that fast. Anyways, it's super cute, and I'm glad she went back to this hairstyle after the fall of Beacon. Emerald and Mercury's past outfits are legitimately some of my favorites, because this does an amazing amount of detail and storytelling here. They look like they're just wearing regular street clothes, because they are. Emerald and Mercury had no intentions of training to be huntsmen. Emerald was a thief living on the streets, and Mercury was living with his abusive assassin father. Fashion probably wasn't a very important detail in their lives, and it really highlights how much they take their lives into their own hands after being afforded luxuries thanks to being Cinder's henchmen. Emerald's intricately cut hairstyle stands out a lot more once you see her simple, loose ponytail. Mercury's sleek black elements of his look seamlessly blending together from head to toe feel a lot more important once you see his ugly brown workman's pants. It's really smart and striking, and tells us way more about their characters than any line of dialogue would have been able to convey. Amber is so unique to me. She's so young. They even say in the commentary that she got so badly hurt because she was young and inexperienced. And yet, her outfit is so gosh dang frumpy, it feels like something a very old woman would wear. But, to be fair, she also openly chose to ride around on horseback, even though this world has flying vehicles, motorcycles, hell, even a bicycle would have been an option probably, but she still opted for a horse. It all makes me think Amber was sort of an old soul, a little rugged, maybe from a tiny town off the beaten path. That, or she was just a huge hipster who liked rejecting popular trends. Either way, it's a simple and traditional outfit, enough to give her some flair, but also isn't anything too terribly flashy. Tai Yang looks too put together for just being a dad. Like, this outfit makes sense if he was running around doing missions like Crow, but when he's just a normal dad at home with his daughter, I would have expected something more comfortable looking. Aside from that, it's a fine look, complete with his dad-styled shorts that's actually just longer pants he's clearly rolled up. He continues the trend of being a clear inspiration for a younger member of the cast, this time being Yang's inspiration for her style. The random bandana tied around one of their limbs is a pretty big thing between the two of them. Little thing, I hate his soul patch. It's so tiny and so hard to see most of the time. Just grow out the beard, it would be better. Salem is a chilling concept. A person who looks like a Grimm. The pure white skin and hair interrupted with horrifying red veins is so chilling. There's truly no one else like her in the show, and it gives her a haunting, powerful presence. Her hair being tied up into this very large, ornately styled bun is cool, but also, I think these extra little doodads feel more silly than anything else. I like the idea of having them being wrapped up in various styles of ribbons with jewels, but like, I'm sorry, I can't look at her and not think of the Pokemon Cradily. You know, the dick fossil Pokemon. They wanted to go with something that was reminiscent of a spider, and yeah, they technically did that, but also, I don't know, I feel like this could have been done better. A couple of people asked me to talk about Ruby's pajamas, and I am here to please. Ruby's pajamas are the cutest, and you could tell because they made them into actual merch at one point in time, and it's adorable. The little grimmified heart is a really nice touch. Weiss's is appropriately frumpy, especially for her early season attitude, but I wonder how her pajamas would have changed over the years. Blake's confuses me because it feels like she's wearing a robe, and there should be an outfit underneath the robe, but she seems to be sleeping in the robe herself, so I don't know. It's fine, it looks cute. Yang's is maybe the most disappointing, just because it's very, very simple. Maybe just like a simple pattern on her pants or her tank top or something. Overall, they're just the pajamas, and they only showed up in like 2 episodes, maybe? They're cute for what they are. And it's just nice seeing the girls wear something a bit more casual. I wish they had more casual outfits in general with the show. Shout out to my $10 patrons, you're all amazing. Andrew, Valhalla Knight, Chamomile, Classy Critic, Noah Perkins, Sunny Shy, Jake, Amber, Hype Man, Zero to Hero, Isaiah, Scaring Crows, Messiah Complex, Jacob, Ben's Sketchbook, The Watcher, Omega Fighter, Trash, Wild Pilot, Josh, Gino, Twisty, Juan, Bunkin Duncan, and Alpha 99.